Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. So today we have the Mallard again. Yes, that means it's Monday. And you're already going to know by the title of this video, but I'm not going to attempt just one, not two, but three issues. So with those three issues, there's not a great deal to do from when I've flicked through the magazines, but we are going to do a little bit of work on the main chassis and the tender chassis. And hopefully we're going to use a couple of little bits that we've had stored up, not many, but we will be working on both parts. And as I said, not much to do, so let's get into it. Let's get building. Right, so as I said, hopefully going to get through three issues today. Now we've got issues 48, 49 and 50, and as you can see, 49 and 50, they're pretty much the same parts. So we're only using a couple of parts from those, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And we've got this piece here, and this is just building up the rear end of the main chassis. So it shouldn't be too difficult. So let's start off with 48, and I'll give you a flick through the magazine. So as you can see, we've got the rear drawbar, I think it's called. Now I have pre-done this little punching. I've just used a small screw, and it sort of works, as you can see. But if you're not careful, pretty much what it does, because the metal's so thin, it just bends it, and it doesn't really give you this vivid detail. I'm sure, looking at the book, that they must use some sort of form. They can't be just using a little punch like that to make this nice detail. I'm sure they've done something else. Certainly if you look at that close-up picture there, that looks like it's been formed rather than punched. But as you can see, we're doing a little bit of bending. We do have four tiny little spaces or brackets. They're in there as well. We're not using those this time around, but we are putting those onto the back of the engine like that. And then we've got Britain's Railways. It's all about the underground. And then we've got Great Railway Journeys. Right, so I'm just going to get the parts out as I normally do, clean them all up, and then I will show you the next steps. Right, so the first thing we're going to be doing is going to be getting this piece and this piece, and we're just going to line those up with that slot, like so, and then just going to run some glue around it, and that will hold it in place. So just put a small amount on the bottom just so I can make sure that is perfectly aligned, like so. And then we can just finish off with a little bit more. So now this bit is ready to go onto the engine. And it's going to be placed on here. Now this is why we've been told to not have this in place. So then we just take that off again for a second. And then also we're going to need to line that slot up like that. And again, just going to run some glue around the edge of that. So I just put a clamp on there a minute just to make sure I've got that lined up and in place. And then we can just run some glue along the edge, like so. And that will seep down between the two pieces. And now I can remove my clamp and just run a little bit more glue along like this. And I will go around the bottom edge as well. So the next thing we're doing, we're not actually going to be using these, but we've got these pieces here, and you might just be able to notice that they've got like little lines. Now what we need to do is we need to bend these into like a U bracket shape. Now, I'm not sure quite the best way of doing that, because we need to bend these little tabs that way, and that way, and then we also need to bend this into a loop. It's probably easy enough to do like this. It does say to bend it around a 1.1mm drill bit. But I'm not sure if that's potentially too big or too small, I should say. But we'll end up with something that looks like that. Now, as I said, we're not fitting these, but we are asked to do a quick test fit where we've got these two recesses. So just going to sit that on there. Might be easier to do it whilst it's sat flat. So those points need to be close enough that they sit in that recess. And I'll see if they're not, we need to just make them a little bit closer together by making that bend a little bit more. And then obviously ensuring that these parts are still flat, like so. Again, just going to double check it. So that's now sitting in there absolutely perfectly. Going to do the exact same for the other one, but as I said, we're not gluing those in place, and we're actually just putting these to one side. We're not using them in this issue. Right, so we've got both of those bent to shape. But as I said, we're not using them this time around. So I will put them straight in this bag, just so they don't get lost, because they are tiny pieces. Along with the bits we are told that are not using this time as well. These are the pony truck fixings, I believe. So they will go to one side and stay safe. Moving back onto this part here. Now we've got a couple of bends to put in here. And from the looks of it, they need to bend in this direction, with the two recesses facing up. So we just bent those over to 90 degrees like that. And then this piece will be going, oops, just broken off the speedo bit. I'll put that on again in a minute. There's a chassis spacer plate, and it looks like it's going to go just in here. Now, there are no holes or locating pegs or anything for this, so here's a bit of an educated guess based on the instructions where I'm putting this. But that looks about right. And that was all there is to do in that stage. Now, what I will do is I will put this thing back on, just in there, just because less likely for the screw and the pin to get lost, and I really can't remember which episode and issue I did this in. And as you can see, It's easy enough to remove if we need to do it again, but I doubt that we will. Now we've got that detail on the back there. Right, so now we're going to move on to issue 49. And as you can see, we've got this injection molded part, or metal injection molded part. And what we need to do, and I've already done this, now these parts, they were completely filled in, so I've just used a cutting disc on this to make that slot. And I've also done the hole drills on here, so we've got 3 0.6mm holes on that one, and we've just got a single 0.6 hole drill on that one. And I've done the same on both of these. These are actually 2 identical frets. And I think on this particular issue, we're only using this piece and this piece. So most of this stuff we're not even going to be using this time around. So that's this point here, where I've had to put all the holes in, and say I've cut this slot in because it wasn't there. It was completely molded together. It does tell us to take all the parts off and clean them up, but as I've said before, on other parts like this, it's easier to find them if you've got them all left like that. That way you've got a large piece that you can find rather than individual small pieces. Because it'd be easy enough for one of these bits to maybe fall out of the bag or something. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces there that we're not using this time, and we're told to store away. We are using this piece that we're just going to attach to the chassis. Not to the bit I broke off, but to this one. And then we've got this drawbar. This actually came from issue 36, or brake stretcher. So that's coming from issue 6, and we just got to put that in there with a bit of rod. And then that's that bit done, and that's all there's to do in this issue. So again, another nice quick issue, and the next one is pretty much very, very similar. We've got Britain's Railways this time, and this one's about Paddington. I've actually just come back from there. Had most of the week in London, so come from Paddington. Walked past Mr. Brunel himself. And we've also got classic locomotives. Right, so we're going to start off with this piece. Now, I do need to make a hole in the end of this one. So just in the centre here, I need to make a 0.6mm hole. So just as I've done before, use my pin vise. Now, it doesn't tell me how far I need to go in on this one. I'm guessing it's just going to have a small rod or something attached to it eventually. Right, so we've got our 0.6mm hole in there. We then need to take this piece, and we're going to put it into the hole that's just within here. Now, I've probably cut that a bit too long, so I'm just going to cut a little bit more off that, like so. Just hopefully so we can get it put up inside this piece here. Probably going to need a pair of tweezers for this. And see if I can squeeze it between the step. Now, this would have been much easier had we been able to do this before putting that step in. But never mind. Again, might just need to make that a little bit shorter. So I don't want to make it too short so it can actually still function and hold it in place. Right, so got that in place. Just going to put some glue up the top here. Just make sure that is straight. Now I don't think that piece is actually as straight as it should be. So just try and straighten that one out a little bit. And that's all we need to do on the chassis for that one. So I'm just going to put that to one side. And then we need to get the last piece, it looks like, from issue 36, which is this brake stretcher. And again, just going to give it a quick clean up. So we've got that piece like that. Now we need to put this just in there like that, and we need to use a bit of the 0.5mm rod that I think we got back in issue 11 through those 2 points there. So that goes like that, and we want that to be free moving for now. So we are just going to put a little bit of glue on each of the ends, but make sure that still moves. Do still need to put a 0.8mm hole into the bottom of here actually as well. So before I glue that in place, that's what I'm going to do. Just going to put that 0.8mm hole in. Right, so just going to cut that rod off like that. So we've got that looking just like that. And that is all there is to do in stage 48, 49 even. Now I'm going to keep that close by, because moving on to issue 50, you will see that we've got the exact same parts. Now it does note that some of these are spares, so they obviously just make 2 of these so you get the right amount of parts. And again, just drilling that hole in the bottom that I need to do. I've pre-drilled the other bits. We need this piece that we've just done, and then once we've done that, we need to add it to the chassis, as you can see, like that. And today we've got Mallard Story and Britain's Railways. So taking the part from issue 50, which is only going to be this part here, and again just going to drill the bottom of this. I just need to clean off a little bit of that extra metal. Right, so we've got the hole in there, and we're going to do the exact same thing we did before, where we're going to put this just onto this bar, get a bit of our 0.5, put it through the 2 sections, and then we're going to glue the ends. So again, just going to cut that one off like so. Dab of glue on the end, just to make sure that they don't come out. But as you can see, they both do move. And now what we need to do, we need to take this part and we need to glue them to the ends of here. So where we've put those holes in, that's just going to go on the ends of these parts, like so. And what I'm going to do is going to take a bit of glue, put it in the ends of the holes, and then we'll get them on to the end of that piece. Right, because this moves so easily, I'm just going to use a little bit of the UV resin. That way I can position it and get it into the right place straight away and then cure it. So I've got that in there. And then this one can do the same. So we've now got that on there like so. Again, we can wiggle this a little bit to make sure these all line up correctly. As you remember, we didn't actually glue these pieces, so they can flip over on themselves. They do need to be spaced out like that a little bit. So I'm going to leave it like that to cure. But that is all there's to do in that stage, and all there is to do in those issues. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to give me a big thumbs up. So, not bad for a Monday. 3 issues done. We're that step closer. Now, we are over a third of the way through. I did double check, and we only have 130 issues. Now, we've just passed 50. So, we are over a third of the way through. So, it really, really is coming together. Now, I think over the next couple of issues, I think we're doing a couple of bits with the boiler or the cab assembly. So we're going to be moving away from the chassis again, but we'll have that to see next week. If you want to see that or anything else that goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release new videos. Until next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.